I was here in 2007 for the World Cup and thinking, how has the world and the game of rugby and refereeing changed in 16 years? And it's one of the key differences has been social media. And in so many ways, social media is tremendous. The extent of the fan engagement, the extent of the platforms that now exist that didn't exist 16 years ago for people to discuss, debate, interact with key figures in the game. It's outstanding. And the vast majority of our rugby family are good people. They really are good people. And so they engage in good ways. They debate, they discuss. And of course, as referees, we understand that they criticize. We're not infallible. And we know that there is going to be criticism sometimes of decisions we make, of judgments and errors in judgment. And so we accept that. But the one sinister side of social media has been the extent to which there are some bad eggs out there that don't know where the line is. And the extent to which sometimes the online abuse and the threatening behavior that can happen on social media is quite real. So I've been protected from it a lot because I'm not on social media, never have been. But even if you're not on social media, you're aware of what goes on social media. One kind of comment that's haunted me a little bit was I was made aware of someone who posted on social media that they hope I die a terrible death from an aggressive cancer. That person wouldn't have known that at 17 years old, I watched my dad die of cancer. He wouldn't have known that my mom's got leukemia, that my mom's had breast cancer. He wouldn't have known at all how cancer's rocked our family. To be fair, probably wouldn't have cared. To a large extent, I was protected because I didn't see a lot of it. Our real concern now is that all our modern day referees are on social media, and that's perfectly acceptable, obviously. That's how this generation interacts. But it's a real concern of ours, like, how do we protect them? How do we stop some of the comments and the abuse that happens on social media really affecting them as human beings? A lot of abuse towards them personally, but probably what really concerns us is some of the abuse and threats that their families are facing, wives and children's. And to just pause for a moment, just reflect on what I've just said, like innocent women and children facing online abuse, facing physical threats as a consequence of someone being upset with a decision that their dad has made as a referee on the rugby field. It's quite unbelievable, really, the extent to which that sinister side does exist. Some of our referees have been bold enough and brave enough to actually try and raise some awareness around this and to share some of the stuff that they face in the social media side. But it's really tough for them because there is a thin line between being perceived to maybe being overly sensitive to criticism and maybe highlighting and addressing some of the social media abuse that can happen. And so, those of us who do understand and do have experience of some of it, but who are no longer in the arena, we do have a responsibility to raise awareness around this, to highlight some of the bad eggs that do exist, and to formulate plans for how we protect participants in the game. And I say participants in the game very deliberately because this is not just something that's facing refereeing only. We've seen some high-profile examples with players who've been threatened and abused online. Coaches are also susceptible to this kind of thing. And so World Rugby takes this really seriously. World Rugby has partnered with a tech company that uses AI to try and identify and source these type of threats. And it's really important that, it's a two-pronged approach. This tech company that World Rugby has partnered with actually has the ability through that AI to identify where the threats are coming from, to target them, to get to the source, and therefore for there to be consequences. And, when the abuse is threatening, and particularly when it's threatening, women and children, the consequences could be prosecution. But for lesser offences, the consequences could be, potentially people can't buy tickets or they can't hold season tickets. And so it's really good that World Rugby is taking this seriously, is trying to get on top of it, and trying to protect those participants from this going forward. And it's just, we've all got a responsibility to raise awareness around it so that the very many good people in the rugby family that interact in great ways on social media and to be fair, have made this World Cup what it is in terms of fan engagement, in terms of people really engaging positively across the game. We're just aware of and target those very few small bad eggs that have a detrimental effect on everyone, really. People understand or need to understand that referees really are just rugby fans like everybody else. Probably the only difference between referees and other rugby fans is that instead of choosing to spend Saturday afternoons on the couch just watching our team, We actually choose to give up our time and to get out there and service the game and give back to the game. Not a single referee started refereeing because they wanted to make a career out of it. We all got involved in refereeing because we loved the game. We all got involved initially for no payment at all, just contributing to kids' games, to club games, making sure that people had the ability to play this game and someone there prepared to give their time to referee. And I guess that's what concerns us as well around the extent of some of the abuse that goes on and threatening behavior on social media, is we've got a responsibility to the people that give freely of their time to referee community rugby, that this behavior isn't normalized. It's not acceptable or normal that people are threatened and abused on social media. And we've got a responsibility to those in the community game to protect them too. If you're really lucky and you perceive to be good at what you do, you can work through the refereeing ranks and get to make a career out of it. And what a privilege that is, to make a career out of something which you love doing. But that's not why anyone started refereeing. And for 98% of the people, that's not why they referee. And so just really want to protect those people from some of the more sinister sides of social media and what does go on online.